warning all of you to brace yourselves for big news.
The biggest.
Tell them, Robin.
Holy Frozen, Batman. It's really exciting. Soon, very soon, Batman and I will be battle poking right out of your TV sets and onto your theater screens.
That's right, Robin. Our first full-length motion picture feature in color opens a whole new world of thrills. The big screen gives us more space on land, sea, and in the air to challenge the most cataclysmic collection of super criminals that ever plotted to take over the world.
Number one. Question. Who's going to make the feathers fly and knock Batman and Robin out of the sky? Number two. The Joker. Have you heard this one? It'll kill you, Batman. Number three. The Penguin. There are two aides this wily bird is going to scramble. Batman and Robin. Number four. The Catwoman. Oh, you're going to see the perfect crime when I get Batman in my claws.
And that's just a sample of the exciting exploits ahead in our first feature motion picture.
Holy memorandum, folks. Make a note not to miss it.
Good thinking, Robin.
And welcome to a new episode of the Movie Dog Show. This is our our second part of the countdown to the Batman. Today we're going to be discussing with the Batman 66 movie and touch up a little bit on the 66 show as well. But our main focus will be on the 1966 Batman film. All right, folks, don't forget, support this channel and subscribe. While you're at it, hit the thumbs up on this video and share it on all social media formats it's possible, folks. Your support to this channel is much appreciated and a vital, vital way to keep this channel going. Now, you can follow us on Odyssey.com. We have a page there now, and check us out. It's just another alternative to view content. Also, you can check us out on Rumble.com. And finally, you can also check us out on Getter.com. It's an alternative to Twitter. And if you haven't yet, like us on Facebook. Don't forget, subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/c/the Movie Dogs. Movie Dogs, we take the bite out of movies. All right, folks, let's get the show started. All right, folks, we're talking about the 1966 Batman film. Of course, it was released in between the seasons of 1 and 2 of the popular Batman 1966 show. The movie itself was originally going to be made first, but luckily for them, the show got picked up, and they decided to go along with the movie in between breaks of season 1 and 2, and the movie was basically there to push the film over on syndication through on the international front, international countries. But this is one of my first early memories, besides the Super Friends show. My first early memories of Batman live action. The movie, I think, is probably the first live action Batman I had ever seen in my entire life when it would come on TV. It was released by 20th Century Fox, who also produced the show. William Dozer, who was the man in charge of the show and of the movie, had this very unique outlook on it. Pulp culture was kind of in its infancy still, but a lot of comic book art was very, especially in the underground, very, I guess to say, avant-garde, what do you want to call it. But, you had these underground artists like Andy Warhol, and a lot of these counterculture artists in any type of fields really embracing the silliness of comic books. And we get right down to it, by then, by the late 1940s, early 1950s, or late 1950s, comic books were, Batman and Robin were flying around in spaceships and fighting against aliens, or, they're trapped in this giant bird cage, or running across giant pianos, or, giant pennies, and, all these weird contraptions that the villains were putting them up against. And the art had gotten very bright. The colors, the primary colors, got even more brighter, as you can see on the menu here. The yellows were brighter, the red was even brighter, even the black was brighter. And of course, that famous pow, wham, zam, zap, those bubbles that would come up on the screen, which really is what made the show itself. Or I think that really during the fighting scene, those were featured in the comic books, and William Dozier decided, well, it's there, it's in the comics, might as well put it in. So you can say, for the time, Batman was, Batman the series and the movie was very accurate towards its comic counterparts. It starred Adam West and Burt Ward as the dynamic duo, and these a lot of people were tested for this. Kyle Wagner, those who are very familiar with the Carol Burnett show, came very close to being Batman himself. But it was for some reason the dynamics and the companionship, the companionship, or the chemistry between Burt Ward and Adam West was just, it was there. It was just like, they had been friends their whole life at that time, even though there was a large age difference between them. But that remained all the way till Adam West's passing several years ago. It was, it's one of those moments where, they brought people together, and it was just a fun. And camp, it was back then, camp craze was everywhere in a lot of shows. Some still had more of a dramatic tone to it, but Batman, it kind of was tongue-in-cheek, and it embraced its campiness. There's, scenes where, you look at the Batmobile and everything says bat this, bat that, bat this, and the Batcave is the same way, going down the pole, and then it has a instant costume changer lever. So they try their best way to point out the obvious, but at the same time poke fun at that obvious at the same time. So, but the Batman 66 movie was directed by Leslie H. I'm probably going to murder the guy's last name, but Martison. Of course, it had everything that you had to offer in the TV show, but on more of a theatrical scale. Of course, the Batmobile, the George Barris design 66 Batmobile, which is, still, I mean, you can have there's so many different Batmobiles now, but, the George Barris Batmobile, which was taken from a concept car called the Futura, was, or Futura, if I'm not mistaken, is always going to be the Batmobile. Just like Sean Connery is always going to be James Bond. When it comes to the 66 Batmobile, that is the one that everybody would say, which Batmobile out of all, they're probably going to be on the top of the list when it comes to, those they want to drive. Me personally, I probably want to drive all the Batmobiles. And it's also probably the most most famous Hollywood, and most recognizable Hollywood vehicle that ever been made. But the plot of the movie itself, it was the movie was also a gift to the fans who had made this weird show that nobody got at first and couldn't put their thumb on. It was a love letter to them. He had four of the most popular villains in Batman lore and the mythology of Batman. You had the Riddler, you had the Joker, you had the Penguin, and you had Catwoman. The Riddler was played by great Frank Gorsh. Cesar Romero portrayed the Joker. Great Burgess Meredith, who also went on to play Mickey in the Rocky films, got to portray the Penguin. Lee Merriweather, who she was not affiliated with the show, but Julie Newmar, who played Catwoman on the show's first two seasons, and then she was later replaced by Eartha Kitt. Julie Newmar couldn't do this movie because she was contracted to another film. So they got Lee Merriweather to do the Catwoman in this film. So a lot of people were asked, well, what about this or that? Continuity didn't really matter too much in the Batman show. I mean, you kind of look at it like now, like The Simpsons when it comes to their continuity, or X-Men movies when it comes to their continuity. Continuity, schmontinuity. So, I guess that was also another charm to the film and to the show itself. But Adam West would always joke, I went through 3 Catwomen. That's 9 lives, baby. And that was always the one running joke that Adam West would tell whenever he was being talked about when it comes to Catwoman. I'm not going to complain too much on the looks of Catwoman. Anybody who's, regardless about the movies or not, Catwoman's my favorite Batman villain or anti-hero, whatever you want to call her. So I always joke with my wife, I'm going to get her in a Catwoman outfit one day. But anyway, it's one of those fun things, but I do think personally when it comes to Catwoman, if I had to put in my top 5, I can't put Zoe Kravitz in there yet because I haven't seen the movie yet. So The Batman hasn't come out until March. So, but I'm gonna have to put Julie Newmar on the top. She was just, I don't know, she just had that femme fatale yet, in that naughty way about her. I mean, she was just, even in, she recently passed away, but she still had it, even at that, at her age, when I think she was in her, close to her 80s or something. But for some reason, she had that look in her eye that, she can still make you do whatever she wants you to do. But it was, I'd say Julie Newmar. I'd go with, then Michelle Pfeiffer, then Halle Berry, even though that Catwoman movie sucked. It's probably about as much as I'll ever talk about that movie. And then I'd say Eartha Kitt, and then Lee Merriweather. Lee Merriweather. I can't even say her name right now. Sorry, but you know, that would probably be my top 5 Catwoman. But you know, the movie though, yeah, also expanded a little bit on when it comes to the gadgets and everything. You got to see more just than just the Batmobile. You got to see the Batcopter, the Bat Cycle, and the Batboat. So there was more toys to play with, and I always loved hearing Burt Ward telling the stories about his stunts. He ended up always having to do his own stunts because the stuntman was usually just not there at the moment, and he got hurt a lot. I have to reference it. You can find it on YouTube, but it was called Bat to the Batcave: The Adventures of Burt and Ward, or Burt and Adam and Burt. I'm sorry, but you can find it on. It's a reunion / biofilm. It's done very, very, very well. It's a very great concept where Adam West and Burt Ward, meet up, have a little reunion at a car show celebrating the Batman show, and the Batmobile's there at this car museum, and the Batmobile gets stolen, and then they decided they're going to investigate, though they have absolutely no reasons to be doing it themselves. But and then while they're investigating and trying to track down the Batmobile, they are reminiscing about their time on Batman, and they go into the flashbacks of the making of the show. It's very well done, I have to say. Just look up. It's called Bat to the Batcave: The Adventures of Adam and Burt. Do check it out. It's I think you can also buy it. You'd have to order it online, but you can buy it on DVD as well. But again, the movie it was just really, it proved that you can have multiple villains in a movie. Nowadays, especially the last 10-15 years, when people complain there's too many villains in a movie. Well, Batman 66 proved you can showcase multiple villains and make it work. And it's just I don't know, I guess it's mostly the writing. You'd have to say, if it doesn't work, it's the writing. They're not doing a perfect dialogue or a way to showcase it. It's like they don't know how. I would always say, if you're going to do that, watch the 66 Batman movie, because right there is a perfect blueprint of how to make it work. You have multiple characters. They can do it in cartoons, you can very well learn from the past, folks, instead of trying to get all fancy. But I really have nothing bad to say about this movie, though. I'm not going to give any negatives, because there's none. I mean, even the negatives got the charm and quality. That's the best thing about the show. The show and the movie, had a very, a massive amount of charm to it that, you can't, I mean, I don't know how most kids will proceed to this. I mean, back in the late 80s, pretty much the late 70s and early 80s, up to Tim Burton's film, a lot of people were, because in the comics, really downing the 66 show, even though it was in syndication, and it was doing well in syndication. The comics, because the writings of Dennis O'Neil and Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns and Alan Moore's The Killing Joke, really resonated with fans and brought him back to more of a darker tone, serious tone. But and especially that's obviously they didn't want to do nothing like that when it came to the movie. So that's the dark tone continued on until at least by the by the latter film they had gone back into more of a camp phase. So the movies themselves kind of resemble what certain eras of the Batman comic book mythology, or their evolutions when it comes to the comic books into television and movies. But again, the charisma of the actors and the way they acted, you know, they would give these more over dramatic